DJ Payne 1.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to the CEO Sports Show for October 12th, 2025. On this episode, we are going to be recapping week 7 already. You want to know what's funny? I put in week 6, and then I was like, wait. They just played the NFL week 6 on Thursday. That was the first game. Is this 7? 6, 7? Like, what are we doing here? Wow, that sounded corny. I'm starting to get older, and those jokes don't come off as well as they used to. But please make sure to hit that like button, subscribe. I would greatly appreciate that. And make sure to check out the other Kretschman media pages as well. I would greatly appreciate that. Fantastic job so far that we're doing with the network. And I want you to check out the other shows that we have on the network. Okay, so without further ado, let's get into the recap. I want to start with the Texas Longhorns versus the Oklahoma Sooners. Oklahoma fumbled a big opportunity to potentially find themselves in a position where they could make the college football playoffs. I never thought they were going to make the SEC championship game just because their schedule going forward is so difficult. But when you look at the rest of the SEC, it's kind of a conference where people are like, hey, who's the best team in the conference? We kind of have these conversations week in and week out. And OU had an opportunity here, if they were to beat Texas, to maybe put some wins together and potentially find themselves in a situation where they can make the college football playoffs. I no longer believe they're going to make the college football playoffs because I just think that when you look at this schedule going forward, every one of their remaining opponents are ranked. Ole Miss, Tennessee, Alabama, Missouri, LSU. I mean, at best, they're 3-2 in that stretch. If they're 3-2 in that stretch, do they make the college football playoffs? Because they would be a 3-loss team at that point. I don't know. I mean, I'd have to wait and see how things play out. I would be okay with putting them in there just because of the fact that, you know, they had such a difficult schedule. But the problem with Oklahoma is they are so dependent on John Mateer. That's the reason why they rushed him back for this game. And because they rushed John Mateer back for this game, that's a big reason as to why. Now, I wouldn't say that's the reason why, but I'm just saying you see the flaws with this team. They're so dependent on their quarterback. And that's the reason why they rushed him back for this game. Because when John Mateer is not on, they really struggle running the ball. I mean, he's a big part of their rushing offense. And with his ability to make big plays down the field with his arm, when you're dealing with an injury, it's a little difficult to get yourself in a position to be able to make those big plays like John Mateer can absolutely do. And that's where I think we saw the cracks in Oklahoma's armor. And it kind of makes you think, okay, going forward, is this recipe for what Oklahoma has done all season. Sustainable. They've been playing really good defense. I thought they played good defense today too. I don't think Texas was moving the ball up and down the field on offense. I think a big reason as to why they gave up 23 points in this game is because John Mateer turned the ball over 3 times in this game, right? Like Arch Manning threw for 166 yards. They ran for 136 yards on 35 attempts. Like, it's not like Texas was this uberly efficient offense. They were fine offensively. I thought Oklahoma's defense played fine, but when your their defense played fine. When Oklahoma's offense is struggling to move the ball the way they struggled to move the ball, they are going to run into issues no matter who they play because they just don't have a well built out roster. This roster, offensively, it's not that great. They struggle running the football. John Mateer is a big part of their run game. Their receivers, I love Deion Burks and Isaiah Sategna, but overall, I just look at the rest of the pieces on this offense. I'm like, okay, where else are they going? It's just a very limited offense. They're not very well balanced. They don't have many ways to beat you offensively. And John Mateer is going to put you in a situation where, he's going to have an overthrow because his mechanics aren't great. He's going to put the ball in some spots he shouldn't put the ball. And it does help Oklahoma some games because, they need those type of plays from him. But it also hurts them. And we saw that in this game. And that's the reason why Texas won this game. But I think you have to give Texas a little bit of credit here because defensively they were outstanding in this game. And I think Arch Manning deserves some credit for this win against Oklahoma. Was he amazing in this game? No. Were there some plays that he would want back? Sure. Like that miss that he had, I think, to the tight end in the end zone, he's going to want that back. There was a play where he was scrambling out of the pocket and there was like a backwards pass and they lost a few yards on that play. He's going to want that back. But I mean, 21 for 27, 166 yards and a touchdown. I mean, you don't look at those numbers and say, wow, but he also contributed 34 yards on the ground. Again, I'm not sitting here making any bold proclamations to Arch Manning about Arch Manning, but at the same time, he needed a game like this because of the fact that he's been dealing with the scrutiny that he dealt with. For him to win this game, quarterbacks don't win games, right? It's a team sport. But for him to put his team in a position to win this game, that was huge for Arch Manning. SEC opponent, number 6 ranked team in the country, heated rivalry. Arch Manning needed this game. Now, what will he do after this game? I don't know. I'm not making any proclamations that he's Andrew Luck like people might make after this game because they're just thirsting at straws to hype up Arch Manning. But got to keep it fair. I'm somebody who's criticized Arch Manning heavily, but I got to be fair here and say, hey, he deserves his credit, and I'm going to give him his credit. He wasn't amazing in this game, but he was also a contributing factor, and he was part of the reason why Texas won this football game. And for that, I think he deserves credit. Me personally, if you don't want to give him the credit, that's on you, but I got to be fair. I got to be objective here. I want to move on to some other games. I want to talk about USC because USC to me has been a team that's been kind of flying under the radar this year. I mean, they're 5-1 right now, and they're not even ranked. They're going to be ranked after this week. But the only loss that they have is a 34-32 loss in Illinois this season. That's the only loss that they have. They just beat the 15th ranked Michigan Wolverines. Now, what's going to be interesting for them is they have 2 more games on their schedule where you look at it and say, okay, that could potentially be a game where they could lose. Potentially. They have Notre Dame on the 18th, and then they have Oregon later in the season. So if USC beats one of either Notre Dame or Oregon, I think they're going to make the college football playoffs. I think they're putting themselves in that position because then at that point, I still think Michigan's going to be ranked come the end of the season. I mean, I don't know. I think Michigan's probably going to lose to Ohio State, but I think that they're probably going to be ranked towards the end of the season. So you'll have wins against 2 ranked teams if you can win one of those Notre Dame or Oregon games, you'll have 2 wins against a ranked opponent. You'll have 2 losses against a ranked opponent with the Illinois loss. But at that point, you look at that and say, okay, they're a 2-loss team in the Big Ten. They're also a team that I think could be a pain in the butt come college football playoff time. And I think because of that, the committee will put them in because, I think they're going to give somebody a real problem here in the college football playoffs. I really do. I love Jaden Mayava. I think he's a fantastic player. Lincoln Riley, obviously, we know how efficient of a offensive play caller he is. Their run game is like fantastic. I mean, Waymon Jordan, he left this game. Brian Jackson left this game, and then King Miller. I mean, dude, what are we talking about? Like, King Miller came in. He averaged 8.8 yards per attempt. I think, did Brian Jackson leave the game? I have to make 100% sure of that because I know they were saying that they were on their 3rd running back. I'm not like completely up to date with USC. There's so many teams across the country that I'm trying to keep up with here. But yeah, I mean, when you look at USC, I think that they're a team that can make the college football playoffs. They got to beat either Notre Dame or Oregon. But if they beat either Notre Dame or Oregon, I think that because they're going to be a 2-loss team in the SEC, that's going to be a big reason. Or I'm sorry, in the Big Ten. 2-loss team in the Big Ten. That's going to be a reason why I think the committee will put them in the playoffs because they have an exciting quarterback as well who, on any given day, he's going to put them in a position to potentially win a ball game here. And, them beating Michigan the way they did, that was impressive. That was absolutely impressive. You can't take that away from them. Not only that, but if they beat either Notre Dame or Oregon, then they have another ranked opponent win. I think they could beat Notre Dame. I really do. I think they could beat Oregon from what we saw from Oregon today. I think they can win both of those games. I mean, if they win both of those games, not even a question, as long as they handle their business going forward with the opponents that aren't ranked, then USC can absolutely put themselves in a position to make the college football playoffs. But they have to handle their business against the teams they should beat, and they need to beat either Notre Dame or Oregon. And if they beat both of those teams, it's a shoo-in. They're making the college football playoffs because they'll be a team that will only have 1 loss on the season. I mean, it's going to probably be hard for them to make the Big Ten championship game. Maybe they have an outside chance, but even still, if they only lose 1 game, I don't know why in the world you wouldn't put them. I mean, they would easily be a top 12 team in the country at that point. And I think even if they lose either Notre Dame or Oregon, I think that shouldn't be devastating for them, right? Like, I personally don't believe that. Now, you can make the case, okay, well, who did they beat at that point? Well, if you beat one of the 2 teams, then at that point, you would have 2 ranked wins at the time. And the only 2 losses you would have would either be to Oregon, Notre Dame, or it would be in Illinois, because I don't think that USC is going to go 2-0 in those stretch of games. That would be very impressive if they did. Like, I think they're going to lose one of those games. But, like, I'm not going to count them out in those games because I'm a big fan of what this team can do, especially offensively. And even, defensively, like, they were suffocating towards the Michigan Wolverines. But I want to spend some time on Jordan Mayava because I don't think he's getting the credit he deserves. I mean, this guy has been absolutely fantastic this year. I mean, you're talking about a guy, Jordan Mayava should be considered one of the best quarterbacks in the country. And not only that, this is a guy that I think needs to start getting some draft buzz here. I don't know what people are looking at when it comes to Jordan Mayava. I mean, this guy has 13 touchdowns to 2 interceptions on the year. He's number 1 in the country in QBR. He has like a 92.9 QBR. He's 6'4". He's 230 pounds. He moves well. He has a big arm. He's accurate. He's a really good decision maker. Why is this guy not considered a top 10 pick in the upcoming NFL draft? Now, maybe he wants to stay another year, and that's something that is going to stop him from obviously being a top draft pick. But when I look at the quarterbacks in this draft, like, obviously you have Dante Moore. He's going to be a fantastic prospect. Fernando Mendoza. But I'm going to be honest with you. I think I would prefer Jaden Maiava over Fernando Mendoza. Like, I think that Jaden Maiava, what he does, I think translates to the NFL more than Fernando Mendoza does. I mean, Jaden Maiava, he's been very impressive so far this year. I was looking on PFF. They don't even have this guy in their database for this upcoming draft in the quarterbacks. And I am just very shocked by that. I mean, I don't know what people are looking at. This guy is fantastic. He is incredible. He is so fun to watch. Lincoln Riley has this guy playing at a high level. Not only that, let's take this into account as well. He's a Lincoln Riley quarterback. Jaden Maiava is a Lincoln Riley quarterback. How many Lincoln Riley quarterbacks don't succeed in the NFL? When it comes to them being starters for Lincoln Riley, how many of them don't succeed? How many of them don't start for them for a team? I mean, you're talking about Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, Jalen Hurts, Caleb Williams. I mean, he's producing NFL quarterbacks. This is another guy that I think can be a legit NFL quarterback. And I think people need to start discussing him not just as one of the best quarterbacks in the country, but as a guy who could potentially be a top 5 pick in the upcoming draft. That's how highly I think of this guy. The measurements are there. The talent is there. The pedigree is there when you talk about Lincoln Riley quarterback. I don't know. Maybe I'm just crazy. Maybe this is the reason why I have a mic in front of me and a camera in front of me, because I'm not in NFL front offices. Maybe that's the reason why. I don't know. Whenever I watch this guy, I say that might be the best quarterback in the country. My personal opinion. So another game that I want to move on to and talk about is there was a lot of games today. So let me, I want to go down my list here and just check. Oh, Indiana versus Oregon. Okay. We have to talk about this game. Oregon suffers a devastating loss against the Indiana Hoosiers. This is a game in Eugene, Oregon. They couldn't afford to lose this game. I mean, if they want to get back to the Big Ten championship and put themselves in a position to have one of those buys come college football playoff time, this put a big dent in that in Eugene, and they got dominated by Indiana. Like, this game is going to show 30-20, but to me, this game wasn't even close to that. I mean, you had the Fernando Mendoza pick 6 that, Oregon was able to get there. So that gave them 7 points. So offensively, they scored 13 points this game. I mean, they couldn't get anything going over the air, on the ground. And this to me is the difference between Indiana and Oregon. I was saying about Oregon after the Penn State game, they're not where they're going to be right now, which was impressive that they beat Penn State, but it's kind of looking like maybe that win wasn't as impressive as I thought. I don't know. Everyone told me all offseason Penn State was going to be a great team. So I looked at that and I said, wow, in the whiteout on the road and you go in there and you beat them, that's impressive. But Indiana winning this game, that's huge for them. And that puts them in a position where, obviously they're a top 2 team in the Big Ten. And I think that we're on a crash course for an Ohio State versus Indiana Big Ten championship game. And who wins that game? I probably lean Ohio State, to be honest with you. Like, I think Ohio State would win that game because I think they're the best team in the country. But Indiana is putting themselves in a position where even if they don't win the Big Ten, they're going to be a very high seed in the college football playoffs. And they're going to have a lot of favorable matchups, most likely, going into a potential national championship run. And when you look at this program, obviously they're the second best team in the Big Ten at the current moment. But over the last 2 years, what they've done with Kurt Signetti, it's been wildly impressive. Look, they have been dominant this year. So far, the teams that they played in the Big Ten, they played Oregon. Don't look at the final score. They dominated them. Look at what they did to Illinois, 63-10. They were a top 10 team in the country at that point. The Iowa game, 20-15. Get it. Iowa's a tough opponent. But what they did to Illinois and Oregon, it's just flat out impressive. And then going forward, they're going to win the rest of their games going forward. UCLA, Maryland, Penn State, Wisconsin, Purdue. Now, maybe the UCLA game, because of how they've been playing, maybe that's a game where you're just like, they're going to cause them some problems, but I don't think they're going to do that. They're going to win the rest of their games. They're going to play Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game. And they're going to be in a position where they're going to have a very high seed in the upcoming college football playoffs. But when I look at just Oregon coming out of this game, Oregon showed that they're not where they need to be at the current moment. Or I should say this, Oregon showed against Indiana that they still have some room to grow here. They're not where they're going to be. I still believe in Oregon this season. They're going to make the college football playoffs. There's no doubt in my mind about that. I still believe in Dante Moore. I think he's the best quarterback in the country. But what we saw today against Indiana was a more experienced Indiana team going up against an Oregon team that's still trying to find themselves offensively. They're still trying to find, okay, we need to find legit, reliable options offensively. And they struggled running the ball against Indiana. They struggled finding anything over the passing game. I mean, DeCorian Moore, 4 receptions for 39 yards. I mean, he's their best receiver. When you're in a position where DeCorian Moore is only going to produce that for you. And granted, it's because Indiana understands how good DeCorian Moore is, right? They're going to take that into account when they're doing their game planning, and they're going to game plan for him. So I understand that. But that's kind of my thing where I look at this Oregon team and I say, outside of DeCorian Moore, I mean, losing Evan Stewart was big for them. I mean, that was huge for them going into the season. If they had Evan Stewart, maybe you're looking at a different team right now. But this is still a team that's young, that's still developing, that still needs to find themselves. Maybe they find themselves come the end of the season. Maybe they don't. Maybe I am wrong in my evaluation of Oregon. Maybe they're not as talented as I originally thought they were. And maybe them beating Penn State wasn't as monumental of a win as I thought it was, because Penn State has been wildly disappointing so far this year. I don't know. It's tough coming out of this game. It's tough for them. I mean, let's look at their remaining schedule here going forward. They have Rutgers, Wisconsin, at Iowa versus Minnesota, and then versus USC at Washington. They could lose that USC game. That is a game that I look at and I say, that might be a little tough for them. But I don't know, man. I don't know. That's a tough break for them. So I want to move on to the Ohio State game. Talked a little bit about it. And I'm just going to say this. Ohio State is the best team in the country. I get it. People really like Miami. I think Ohio State's a better team. I look at offensively, when you look at the weapons that Ohio State has, I mean, when we're comparing these receiver rooms, I don't think it's close. I like the Miami receivers. I actually love the Miami receivers. Ohio State's receivers are on a different level. Jeremiah Smith, this is a guy that's in, Jeremiah Smith is in Julio Jones, Calvin Johnson, Randy Moss conversations. So when you compare him to the other wide receivers in the country, that's where I look at it and say, no, Jeremiah Smith is different. And when we look at this Ohio State wide receiver room, it's completely different than any other wide receiver room in the country. It's number one in the country, and it's by a wide margin that they're number one. So whenever we're comparing wide receiver rooms to Ohio State, it's never going to be a fair comparison to whatever wide receiver room that we're looking at, because of the fact that they have a guy who might be the best college football player we've ever seen at that position. So it's not even fair to compare Miami and Ohio State from that perspective. And, running backs, I think they're similar. Quarterbacks, like I really like Julian Sayin. Like Julian Sayin has been, I think, fantastic this year, if you ask me. I mean, this is a guy, because I always have to make sure that this is updated. 2, 5, 7, 10, 15 touchdowns. He has 15 touchdowns to 3 interceptions this year. Yeah. Julian Sayin has been everything Ohio State has needed him to be. Julian saying so far this year, I mean, you're talking about 15 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. This is a guy who's going to get the ball to his weapons. He's going to get the ball to his playmakers. He's not going to turn the ball over. He is incredibly accurate. And he's a guy that's going to keep the sticks moving for this offense. And I don't think that the Ohio State offense has reached its ceiling. I think the Ohio State offense has yet to even show the country what they're really about. I think come playoff time, you're going to see an Ohio State offense that completely takes off. And I think that Julian Sayin is going to be the catalyst of it. He reminds me a lot of Jared Goff for the Detroit Lions, right? Not Jared Goff at Cal, but Jared Goff for the Detroit Lions. And that's not a bad comparison at all. Like, some people may hear Jared Goff, they may be like, what, Jared Goff? No, like, Jared Goff is a very good quarterback. But their roles are very similar with the offenses, right? Jared Goff does not put the ball in bad spots. Jared Goff is also not a guy who's going to make plays out of structure, but in structure, he's an assassin. It's the same thing with Julian Sayin. In structure, Julian Sayin is assassin. He has a quick release. He gets the ball out on time. He gets it where it needs to be. He doesn't put the ball in bad spots. He gets it to his playmakers. He's Jared Goff for the Detroit Lions. And that's all Ohio State's offense needs. Ohio State's offense doesn't need Dante Moore. It doesn't need a John Mateer. It needs a guy that's going to operate the offense efficiently and get the ball in Jeremiah Smith's hands and get the ball in Carnell Tate's hands and get the ball into Max Clare's hands and to get the ball in Brandon Innis's hands. That's what they need. They don't need some explosive passer. They just need a guy who's going to get the job done, who's going to be efficient. And that's what Julian Sayin is. He is perfect for that offense. I don't think that there's another quarterback in the country that is more perfect for an offense than Julian Sayin is for Ohio State. You have an offensive line that's going to protect. They're going to keep you upright. You have a defense that's going to always keep you in games because of how great they are. Just don't mess the game up. Don't overdo it. Don't do too much. Stick to the plan. And Julian Sayin, that's his superpower. He sticks to the plan. Good stuff from Ohio State. I mean, look, I think they're going to cakewalk into the Big Ten championship. Like, Ohio State to me reminds me a lot of what Saban's Alabama teams were. Like, that's just the way it is. And I know people might not like that comparison, but I don't care. Ohio State's incredible this year. I get it. I'm an Ohio State fan. I understand that. I got it. But Ohio State's really damn good this year. I want to move on to, let's see. We got some other games that we need to talk about. Because holy cow, there were a lot of games. There's Georgia versus Auburn. I don't know. Because I can't hit all these games tonight. I kind of want to pick them sparingly. Talk about Alabama versus Missouri. Like, I'll say this. Ty Simpson to me, he's one of the 5 best quarterbacks in the country. When I watch what he did against Missouri, understand that Missouri's defense was in his face the entire game. Like, he really had to use his footwork to navigate the pocket, and he was still keeping his eyes down the field, and he was still making plays down the field. That was the most impressive thing about his performance. This was not easy for Ty Simpson at all, and he was still able to be efficient. I mean, you're talking about 3 touchdowns to 0 interceptions. I mean, only 200 yards, but still just making sure that when it comes to keeping his offense ahead of the sticks, that's what Ty Simpson does. And man, this guy might be the best pocket passer in the country. I really believe that, because it's not one of those situations where, you know, he has 5 seconds to throw the ball. Like I saw against Missouri, he didn't have 5 seconds to throw the ball. He was in muddy pockets all game long, and he was still executing at a very high level. I think that when you talk about Missouri, right? Missouri is one of these teams where they were kind of hanging around. Like, they're a team that nobody really paid attention to, right? So you may look at this Alabama game and say, oh, Alabama only won by 3 points, but Missouri was undefeated going into this game. I mean, granted, they haven't really played anybody, to be honest with you. Like, they played South Carolina, beat them, played Kansas, beat them. So that is fair. Like, how good is actually Missouri? And that's the thing, like, going into this game, when I was watching this game, I was like, wait, I haven't watched Missouri at all this year, right? Because look, there's only so many college football games I can watch at once. Okay. It's hard for anybody to watch all these college football games. So any Missouri fan in here, I'm sorry. I watch a lot of college football, but I'm not like intently paying attention. It's very difficult with my schedule. But like, they gave Alabama all they could handle. And when you look at Missouri as a program, that's kind of the things that you're looking for. And when you look at their schedule going forward, I mean, it is a tough schedule. I mean, they play at Auburn. They'll probably win that game. They play at Vanderbilt. I would favor them in that game. Texas A&M, they'll probably lose. And then at Oklahoma is another game that they have. So they may be in a position where they only lose 2 games. Where does that put them come college football playoff time? I don't know. It's difficult because there's a lot of teams at the top of the SEC here, right? Like, you have Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Alabama, Georgia, LSU, Tennessee. I'm not sold on Texas. I'm not there with them. But like, you just look at all those teams up there. But when you look at their schedule, like, they could be in a position where, like, when I look at Oklahoma, I was very unimpressed by what I saw today. And a lot of the cracks in their armor really got exposed in this game. I mean, you talk about, like I talked about earlier in this stream with Oklahoma, it's John Mateer and it's their defense. Those are the 2 things you got to worry about. I don't think it's an overall complete team. Can Missouri beat them? Yeah, they can beat them. Can they beat Vanderbilt? Yeah, they can beat them. I don't think they beat Texas A&M. Like, I think Texas A&M is, to me, they look like the best team in the SEC. If you ask me, I think that they're the best team in the SEC. Like, I think it's probably going to be Texas A&M versus Georgia for the SEC. Because when you look at Texas A&M, the remaining games they have left, they have Missouri on the schedule, and they also have LSU. And obviously they have Texas at the end of the year. Texas will probably be a ranked team again after beating Oklahoma. But like, I think Texas A&M is the best team in the conference. But yeah, when it comes to Missouri, like, their path to get in the college football playoffs, I don't think it's completely gone, but it's going to be difficult. And I think they're going to have to go 2-1 in these stretch of games. Vanderbilt, Texas A&M, and Oklahoma. They go 2-1. Now they're a 2-loss SEC team with losses to only probably Alabama and Texas A&M. Now you can start the conversation like, hey, Missouri deserves to be in the 12-team college football playoff. Anything else that I want to talk about? Again, there were so many games on. I only have so much time to talk here. We could talk about Texas A&M. I was paying a little bit of attention to this game. Again, I tell people, because there are fans of teams that, they're like, oh, well, you didn't see this in the game. Like, I'm sorry, I'm watching like 4 games at once. So there's going to be things that I miss over the course of a game. And I will apologize for that. And I will be very transparent about that. But I try to, okay, this play's happening here, this play, but then there's 2 plays that happen at once. I'm like, what am I doing here? I got to get better at watching games in multi-view. I will tell you that. But I was impressed with Texas A&M. I was very impressed with Texas A&M and their performance against the Florida Gators. Florida is not a defense that is easy to play against, right? Like, a lot of good offenses have struggled against Florida. Texas A&M, it wasn't really an issue for them. They were very impressive against Florida. I mean, Marcel Reed, 16 for 26, 234 yards. And then their run game was very good as well. I mean, 4.4 yards per attempt. But you had guys, like Reuben Owens and Le'Veon Moss here doing some things. I don't know. I'm impressed with Texas A&M. I think that they're the best team in the conference, and them beating Florida the way that they did, putting as many points as they did on the board. I get it. It's a 2-4 Florida team, but that is a team in Florida that is going to be a pain in the butt for anybody they play this season. And Texas A&M, the thing is, right, the reason why I'm impressed with them is not just because of what they did to Florida. It is a combination of what they did over the course of the season so far. They beat Notre Dame, they put up 41 points on them. The Auburn game, little shaky, but then you look at what they did against Mississippi State, and then now what they did to Florida offensively, right? Like, that's where I look at Texas A&M and I say, no, that's a team that's going to be a real big-time problem here in the SEC. And when you look at some of their offensive pieces, like, I think they're a pretty well-balanced offense here, right? I want to see Marcel Reed improve on, timing, accuracy, those type of things, right? Like, I actually think Marcel Reed can process pretty well, in my personal opinion. I may be wrong, but in my personal opinion, I think he does. But I think the problem with him is he needs to work on his mechanics to the point where he can get the ball in the receiver's hands when he processes it the right way. But I think that they do a lot of things offensively that make me say, wow, like, they're going to be a real pain in the butt to deal with. They run the ball pretty well. Marcel Reed does get the ball down the field to these receivers, Mario Craver, KC Concepcion. They're going to be a team that's difficult to deal with. And their defense is pretty damn good as well. So, I mean, a lot of things to be very excited about, right? If you're a Texas A&M fan, and they're going to be a real pain in the behind here in the SEC, and they stand a real chance to potentially win the conference this year. So that's going to be it for the show tonight, guys. I appreciate you guys for coming out, and I will see you guys. Oh yeah, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe. I'd greatly appreciate that. And I will see you guys in the next episode. Peace.